Hi, I'm Alex Elle, and I write books for a living. The Hey Girl podcast was created with sisterhood and storytelling in mind. Hey girl.
Hey girl.
Hey girl.
Hey girl.
I'll be sitting down with some phenomenal women to discuss love.
I believe we grew distant out of love of some type, I don't want to hurt you.
Loss.
Really don't know what's going to trigger that feeling of grief in any moment.
And a topic very important to my work, self-care.
I'm holding on to this self-care with every ounce of me.
Join us as we journey through sharing together. A lot of these conversations are pretty private, and these women are courageous and vulnerable and transparent, and that alone shows us that we're not alone in our struggle. This week, we're talking to my Aunt Kellee. So in the Black community, everybody who's your parents' friends is your auntie or your uncle or your cousin. Aunt Kellee came into my life when I was 2, and she introduced my parents, my mom and my stepdad. This week, we're discussing my Aunt Kellee being a breast cancer survivor and how her journey through cancer and remission has molded and shaped her life. What's inspiring about my Aunt Kellee's story is her resilience and how she stood tall through her treatment. Now she's a voice within the community, and she's building community and sisterhood. The fact that you can come out on the other side being a soldier and an advocate for something that threatened your own life is really admirable. This is Aunt Kellee's story. Hey, girl.
Hey girl.
I am here today in the studio with my Aunt Kellee. Do you want me to give your government name, or is Aunt Kellee fine?
Aunt Kellee's fine.
Okay. We are going to be chatting with her. She's phenomenal. She's known me since how old? 2? 2 years old.
Yes.
So she's watched me grow up. She's watched my daughter grow up, and, honorary aunt. So my Aunt Kellee is a breast cancer survivor. And I really wanted to have her on the show so we could talk to her about her firsthand experience with breast cancer and how she's become a breast cancer advocate and survivor along the way. So could you give us just a little background about you and your story?
Sure. So I'll start with, I guess, the breast cancer part of it. I received the news on my 45th birthday, which was December 27th, 2012. We'll never forget that day. Mm-hmm. Would like to remember it for my birthday, but now it has another meaning. But it's still a day of birth for me because it's still a day of reliving because I'm still here. And so I celebrate each birthday as a new living. So actually this year will be my 5th year, which is a milestone for breast cancer survivors. For the particular type of cancer that I had, 5 years is important to get me to without a reoccurrence. Mm-hmm. So actually, I was just getting regular mammograms at 45. That was to be my 5th one. I started getting them when I was 40.
Okay. Was that at work? I feel like I remember that we were on a truck or something.
Exactly.
Okay.
We had the mammogram truck from GW that would come to my job. And so it was easy. It was free. It was covered under our insurance. So they made it real easy for you just to go out to the parking lot and get your mammogram, just normal preventative care that the company offered. And I actually, ironically, had skipped the year before. Okay. Because we didn't get enough people to sign up for the mammogram, and so the truck couldn't come, and I never followed up and just went to GW on my own and got it, which is also part of my story that it's important to do that because within a year, by the time I found out, it was already at stage 3 and had spread to my lymph nodes.
Wow.
So we literally had just caught it, so to speak, before it had spread any further. So when I got the mammogram, like I said, all this was right before the Christmas holiday. And I remember after I got it, I was sore. And if you remember, I was smaller then also. Yeah. I remember being sore, and feeling myself. And I actually felt the lump. And I was like, well, that's strange.
What does it feel like?
It actually just feels like a lump, like a rock or something is inside your, inside your skin.
Like kind of like you could pluck it out if you wanted to, or is it like
almost like you could literally, kind of take your hand and feel it and almost feel it moving. It was really weird. And my first thing really wasn't breast cancer. I was thinking they squished me so hard in this mammogram machine that it, made like a little abscess or something. Right. Was what I was thinking. And then then the other thoughts start. And I was like, this is weird. So I actually called them and I said, the holidays are about to start. I'm sure you guys will be short staffed. And normally they would just send you a letter saying it was okay or we need you to follow up. So I asked them, would they look at it earlier since the holiday was coming? Because I was a little concerned because I'd never felt that before.
Yeah.
They called me back in 2 hours and said, we need to get you in as soon as possible. We had the radiologist look at it, and she does see a spot where you're telling us that you feel something in. So that started the whole thing. Literally, I was in there, and from there it was just whirlwind, diagnosis, biopsies, finding out the stage, figuring out what kind of surgery, what kind of treatment I needed to do. We went the treatment route first, which was chemo. We did the chemo first because the goal was literally to shrink the tumor because the tumor was big. It was about 3 centimeters, I think.
Okay.
So we wanted to shrink it first in hopes of that I wouldn't have to have a mastectomy. So a lot of decisions have to be made when you find out this because
Is it quickly? Like everything is kind of just like you have to just be quick about it.
Yeah. I mean, they encourage you to, and that's a lot of the discussion in the cancer community that a lot of the ladies feel rushed when they find out. And all this information is coming at them. Your doctors are telling you what they suggest. You have friends and family who've had friends who've had breast cancer before that are giving you their opinion. So you're overwhelmed. You're just like, I need to make a decision. And it's all based on saving your life. You know? It's not just, I need to buy a new house or a new car. We're talking about my life.
Right.
So you do feel tempted to make those decisions kind of quick. I do know some ladies that I've met over time that they actually took time off when they found out to say, wait a minute, I need to absorb all this. Yes, and process it before.
So how was that? So let's take a step back for a second. Like, how did you process it? And you're a wife and a mother. How did your spouse and your kids process this news? Do you remember telling them?
I do. So, of course, you know all my children.
Yeah.
Glenn actually wasn't home at that time. He was in New York, and Josh and Angelique were still home. And actually on the 27th, which was when I went in to do the secondary, what they call diagnostic testing, my husband, Angelique, my daughter, and my mom, my sister-in-law, and my niece Frances, they were actually all with me.
Okay.
So when they showed us on the screen, we all saw at the same time that was what it was. Now on the 27th, they didn't actually say for sure that's what it was, but they were like 99%. I still had to have a biopsy at that point
to confirm.
To confirm, right? But in talking to the doctor and the way that they were treating me at that point, we pretty much knew. I mean, she pretty much knew that that's what it was. She just didn't want to say it to me, but we knew that that's what it was.
Yeah.
So Angelique was actually there, and of course my mom and Alvin, but they were all still kind of like, nah, we're not believing it yet.
Yeah.
So literally the day that I got the biopsy results, I went by myself, which I when I think back, I should not have done. But when I called the hospital that day to see if the results were in, they were like, well, we can't give them to you over the phone. You have to come here in person. And I was like, okay. And I was at work. So Alvin was working. He couldn't get off. And my mom at that time was working in the courthouse, and she was in a trial. And she's like, give me about an hour and I'll go with you. And I sat at my desk for about 15 minutes.
Too anxious.
And literally had a nervous breakdown. And my boss was like, just go. So I went down by myself. And my first reaction when they told me is I literally just kind of fell out in the office. I was like in total shock. I felt alone, because I was by myself.
Right. It's okay.
And I just remember asking the doctor, like, show me a piece of paper. Like, I don't believe you. I want to see it in writing that it's actually cancer.
Right.
And even though I kind of knew, to actually hear her say it and then see it on paper, biopsy confirms, I just drew a blank for the actual medical term of it. But to see it, I just was in shock.
Yeah.
And I remember just losing it. Like, I just cried and I cried and I cried. By then, my mother was already calling my cell phone because she's like, where are you? I thought you were going to wait for me. So the doctor actually answered the phone and talked to her and told her what was going on. They gave me a minute. They had a counselor that was there. And she came in and sat with me for a while. And I kind of got myself together to leave. And then by that time, I'd gotten Alvin on the phone, and so he left work early, and he was meeting me. So I had to meet him at the subway, And when I remember pulling up the car, and I literally, when I saw him, I just pulled the car over and I got out the car, and he grabbed me and I grabbed him, and we both just stood like in the middle of the street just crying, like what, just like our world was rocked.
Yeah.
So we went on home, and that same day, it was a school day, so Angelique wasn't home yet. And at that time, Angelique had just started high school. You know, she was very active. She was in cheer and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So before she came in, me and Alvin and my mom, we were discussing when should we tell her. And I was like, I have to tell her right away because she knows me. I mean, I'm probably looking crazy right now. I'm pretty devastated. So she's already...
thinking something's off.
Right. And she was with us for the initial appointment, so
Right.
she's kind of waiting to hear also. So when she walked in the door, we were literally all sitting on the couch. You know how my house is. And when she walked in, she just said, "What, Mommy?" And I said, "Well, we got the test results back, and it says that it's positive that I do have cancer." And she just sat on the couch and she cried, and that was the worst. That literally broke my heart.
Yeah.
And I can remember saying to her, you know, Mommy's going to beat this because I have plans. I plan to see you through high school. I plan to see you graduate. I plan to see you go to college, get married, have children. Like that's what I'm living for. Those are my plans. I plan to see my grandchildren, you know. While we were talking to her, actually, Josh came home and we told him, and you know how Josh is.
Yeah.
He's a young man and not real emotional. But I could see it all over his face, like what is
Like,
going
what's
on?
going on? Yeah.
Yeah. And and the truth about it is, I focused on the kids so much that I won't say never, but it wasn't until further into my treatment that I started to think about how it was affecting Alvin and my mom. You know, what we call our co-survivors, the ones that are taking care of me, the ones that were going to every treatment with me, there for every surgery. You know what they were thinking, and then I started thinking, gosh. You know, role reversal. What if Alvin had cancer? How would I feel? Or if my mom, or if it was my daughter that I was watching fight cancer, you know. And those are real things that you have to think about too, because it's just as difficult as it is for me. It's difficult for your family, you know, other people. I think I showed you a text actually that I still have. That I took a picture and put in my journal of a conversation that you and Char had about it. You know, you think about all your people around you and your first podcast.
With Angelique.
Yeah, that came up in you all's conversation. And I remember you saying something like, I don't want to die. I don't want to leave everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how I was feeling. Like, I don't want to leave everybody. I don't want them to have to live without me. I don't want my daughter to not have her mom here. I don't want my husband to not have me because he can't move on. You know? You know, all those just kind of selfish thoughts. But I don't want them to have to worry about a life without me, you know?
Right. That's really powerful. And I really commend you for just walking through this because, you know, Ryan's mom, she passed in August from breast cancer. And you just kind of flocked to her and like, we're sending her so much love and cards. And what has cancer taught you about community? Because you kind of, you dove into the community head first. I feel like, how did that, I know that having cancer was awful and it's scary. I'm sure still navigating life thinking like it could come back or the scary things that go along with it. But what has it brought to your life that's been good, if that makes sense?
I would say love. And it's interesting you asked that because I was at an event, what we call the Pink event, a couple weeks ago that I spoke at. And one of my friends who's there, who's living with stage 4, she asked me a similar question. She was like, Kellee, I don't know how you seem to still want to do for a lot of us in the community and you do it with a smile. Like, how do you keep doing it? And I told her that I honestly didn't have an answer, but it's just overwhelming love. It's just simple. It's love, and love is free. To just give. I mean, and we're at a time where people are starting to talk about breast cancer more. So, you know, for me, when I was younger, you didn't talk about it. You know, if someone in your family had it, or your grandparents' friends or your mother's friends, you kind of knew. They would say the big C, but nobody really talked about it. And you just kind of heard they have cancer, they got treatment, they're fine. That was the
kind of like they simplified it.
Yes. Yeah. You didn't know the details of it. And so I say, luckily for me, being diagnosed in this day and time with social media, I was able to find other people
who were
that had went through it and could tell me more about it than what the doctors were laying out for me. Because they still, they don't make it simple, but they give you the big picture.
Right.
They don't tell you the details of the emotions that you're going to feel, all the extra things that are going to happen with your body that you're just not prepared for.
Right.
So for me, that's what it's about. Like, I just remember how I felt, and I just want to help, if someone else, because that hearing those words turned you around, but that's only the beginning of it. Your life is literally turned around. We call it our new normal. It's our new normal that we have to figure out how to live even after treatment. And after treatment is, to me, the hardest part.
Why?
Well, because during treatment, everybody's there. So you don't have a lot of you have time to focus on what's going on, but it's busy.
Right.
You're going to treatment every 3 weeks. 2 of those weeks you're sick. 1 week you might get good. You're going through so much. People are coming around. People are calling and checking on you, helping your family out, getting your kids around. And then when treatments and everything is done and you say no evidence of disease, then everybody's like, okay, she's fine. And they go on. But then it gives you that moment to say, wow, what just happened to me? Like, what did I just go through?
Yeah.
And then you start thinking of, you have the body image things, because in my case, I did a full mastectomy.
Yeah. I remember us talking about that too. And you saying that you weren't going to get the reconstructive afterwards. So I would love to talk about that. Like, how did that feel as a woman to have both breasts removed? And then how was that body image afterwards? Because at first you were like, no, I'm not getting them. I'm not getting the implants. And then you were like, I think I'm going to get them.
Yes.
So how did that all work for you?
And ironically, I'm back at that. I'm about to have an appointment to ask her to take them out.
Oh, really?
So I've gone full circle. Yes.
Let's talk about double mastectomy, body image, getting the implants and taking them out.
Okay. So like you said at the beginning, again, because you're going through so much, there's so much that's going on, the reconstruction is the last part of it.
Right.
So in that process, when they're saying, let's meet with your plastic surgeon, I'm like, nah, I don't want to do it. There's just, so much has been going on. I'm just really tired. I'm living at GW basically. I don't want to do it. I'm fine with being flat chested, because I was small before. I'm just happy to be here. It's no big deal. I don't, I've never had a real body image. And I always say I never had a body image issue before, and actually didn't think so much about the breasts before. My body image issues are now after the fact. So I decided that I wasn't going to do it. But as it turned out, the plastic surgeon that I happened to be on my team was like an aunt to me. She was absolutely wonderful. And we talked, and she gave me all the options and, made it very clear to me that this was strictly for me, whatever I wanted to do.
Right.
It was not for my husband, not for anybody else. It was what I wanted to do. So I opted to go ahead and do the reconstruction with the implants, which involved, when I have the mastectomy, they put in what they call expanders, which are like little plastic bags.
I remember you had those.
Right. And
to
then
stretch everything.
Exactly. To stretch your skin out. And they put like saline solution in them for a couple weeks until you're visually at the size that you want to be. And then they let that sit for a couple months, and then they do what they call an exchange surgery, where they take the bags out and put the actual implants in. So I went through all that. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And actually, that one was probably the easiest surgery. So there's other options where you can take like fat from other parts of your body, and they can basically create breasts for you. Now, the catch with all this, as ladies, as we know, our breasts are part of our sexual beings. So when you have a mastectomy, that's gone. Even with the implants, or even if I was to do it where they took fat from other parts of my body, that sensation is gone. And so I knew that, but then you don't really think about it until after the fact, when you're back to trying to live your life normal, with your husband. And it's like, these things are just here for no reason, for shirts, basically. Right. And then the after fact with it is that I'm in pain a lot. So I have scar tissue on the right side underneath that pulls quite often. And it's just uncomfortable, and I have what's called lymphedema in my right side, because my lymph nodes were removed. So how your body normally drains out through your lymph nodes. Mine doesn't work as well on the right-hand side because those lymph nodes were removed. So a lot of times my hand or my arm will swell up, which means it swells up underneath here. So it's just awkward. It's all those little things. And so at this point, literally probably for the last month, I was like, I just want to get these things out. I'm just over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've just gotten to that point in life. It's just like I'm not a young lady that's, needs to have her cleavage out and, want to get attention and all that kind of stuff. And they serve no pleasures for me and my husband.
And you're not nursing babies.
No, and I'm not nursing. I'm all done.
Right.
So. The only one good thing I will say is since I've had my grandson, he does like to nuzzle up.
He likes to nuzzle up against the bosom.
He does.
Oh, that's so sweet. Hey, y'all. Are you obsessed with beautiful stationery like I am? Well, Love Pop turns stationery into these magical gifts that are mailable and keepsakes. Love Pops are more than cards. Each one is laser cut, hand assembled, and designed to surprise and delight. The purpose of every Love Pop card is to create a moment of connection between you and the people you care about. If you're interested in giving Love Pop this holiday season, you can unlock special pricing for 5 or more cards and get free shipping on any order by going to lovepop.com/heygirl. I just got my hands on some Love Pop cards. I love the Christmas ones. They are beautiful, ornate, decorative, and really extremely mind-blowing. I'm excited to give them to my Nana for this holiday season so I can be her favorite, and she will keep this up all year round. I already know, Christmas or not. So again, if you're interested in giving the gift of Love Pop, you can unlock special pricing for 5 or more cards and get free shipping on any order by going to lovepop.com/heygirl. So when you first saw yourself without your breasts, like when you saw your body without them, what was that?
So I didn't look for probably 3 months.
What do you mean?
I'm sorry, not 3 months, about 3 weeks, about a month.
So you just would avoid the mirror?
I did. So Alvin would clean my wounds. So after you have the mastectomy, they actually put drains, real, like, it's hard to explain, but
Like
they're called
tubes,
drains,
right?
like tubes that hang out your side with little bulbs on the bottom that basically capture the excess fluid and liquid that's coming out. And it has to be a certain amount of time before they'll take those out, before they can move on to your next step. So I had 5 of those, 2 on one side and 3 on the other. And you have to be very careful with them because if you tug at them, they hurt because they're basically, it's a drain. So I had,
They're
5
in your
incisions.
skin, right?
They're in your skin. They can, they're just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But you have to clean around them, and I had to clean the scars and stuff, but I couldn't do it. So Alvin would do it. He would actually come and he would clean the scars, and I would
Just look around. Just look away.
Yep. So one day I said, okay, I know, come on, I got to be a big girl.
Yeah.
So I said, I'll do it. So I went in the bathroom and took everything off. And again, that just, those are the emotional moments where it becomes like reality, like
that's really happened to me.
Right. So like I was saying, there's so many people around, and you know how my family is. I mean, your family too. Your mom and your dad stepped in and did so much for us. So there's so many people around helping you that when you have to start doing things for yourself, I think that's when it like really hits you. So that moment in the bathroom, when I took my shirt off and I was just like, oh my gosh, like they're gone. And I have these 2 huge scars, And at that time, I had the expanders in, but we had not started to expand them yet. So
they were just...
It was just there. Just skin. Yeah.
Wow. So you started getting your mammograms at 40. Were you at a higher risk? I know that, like, for instance, Ryan and I have talked about this. Like, his dad had prostate cancer and his mom had breast cancer. So he's, like, at this high risk of having cancer. Preferably it doesn't happen, but it could. Angelique, too, her mom has had cancer, and she's getting to the age now. Her doctors are saying you need to start for early detection. You need to just start with your preventative care now.
Exactly.
Were you at a higher risk? Did cancer run in your family?
No. So ironically, no one. So I would say no one that I know of. So of course not my grandmother or
Your mom.
her generation, not at my mom's generation, any of my aunts. So I have a sister through my dad who is actually a 3-time breast cancer survivor.
Wow.
And she was actually diagnosed when she was 26 for the first time.
Wow.
And her second time was literally a week after I found out. So when I called her to tell her about mine, and, she was talking me through some of the process, ironically, maybe like a week, like she was talking to me like every day. And then all of a sudden I didn't hear from her. I was like, that's strange. Eb calls me all the time. And so my dad called and he said, did you talk to Ebony yet? And I said, well, I didn't talk to her like in a week. So I was worried about her because, we've been talking quite often. He says she has some news to share with you. And when I actually ended up talking to her, it was that she was diagnosed again.
Wow.
So only through her, and we actually both had testing. So they have genetic testing that you do, which I had done early on as far as concerns for Angelique.
Okay.
To make sure that I wasn't carrying the gene that they call it I'm sorry, I just drew a blank for the medical term, but there's a gene that they test for to see if you have it. Something similar to what I think was Angelina Jolie did.
Oh, yeah,
She
yeah,
didn't have cancer, but she had the gene, so she opted to go ahead and have
the double
mastectomy.
mastectomy.
Right. So there's a test for that. So mine came back negative and my sister's came back negative, ironically. So I don't know if there's other testing out there or that we just haven't discovered yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's so scary, too.
Yeah, because breast cancer is one of those things. I mean, we all know about eating right, living right, and doing those things. And I know there's lots of talks and controversy around, is breast cancer preventable? But I honestly, I don't think it is. I think it's just a weird thing that just happens to some of us. Like, I don't know if there's just one catch-all, don't do this and you won't get breast cancer. Like I've talked to people that were, I wasn't the healthiest before. I've always worked out and, I eat well, but I also eat bad. But I've met people that were like health fanatics. And worked out and only drank water and didn't drink alcohol, all kind of things, and still got breast cancer. It's just
wow,
an unknown,
Yeah.
It's really weird. But I do believe that still taking care of your body helps to at least reduce your risk. So for me, I was talking about the body image thing.
Yeah.
Has become more of an issue for me afterwards because I've gained so much weight through the medicines and things that I was taking. So now I'm fighting with that. I'm fighting with that they tell us as African Americans that to reduce our risk, we also have to reduce our weight. But one of the medications I'm on to reduce my chances of a reoccurrence makes me gain weight.
Yeah.
So I'm fighting against that, So I've changed my eating habits quite a bit. I do a lot of alkaline water. I do green smoothies. None of those things are helping me lose weight. But I'm hoping that internally in my body
it's
that they're
working.
helping. Yes.
Yeah. I remember when Ryan's mom came to our wedding, she was on all these different medications and the cancer had spread to her eyes at that point, and she was blind in one eye, and she just didn't look like herself. And it was the medicine trying to, I guess, do its part. And I remember Ryan used to always say, oh, I know Mama don't like this, because she was always just classy and put together and in control of her appearance. Yes. And she was trying so hard to fight through it. Yeah. And
it takes a toll on you because it's a catch-22. There's the balance between the medicine that they give you and trying to deal with your body holistically.
Right.
And, a lot of people believe that we should cut the medicines out and just deal holistically with it. And I battled with that also. I had a lady that came over, and helped me. She actually helped me start to juice and things like that. And, told me about those ways of that I could do it holistically and actually gave me some places. But I just wasn't convinced at that time that would totally eradicate the cancer.
Yeah.
I hear the stories. I see them on social networking like everybody else, but I don't know those people. I've actually talked to people that had treatment and I can see them. I see ladies living 20 years out. And I do know of maybe 2 cases where ladies decided, like, I'm not doing treatment anymore. And they were just completely doing this green-based diet and they passed away. So it's this battle within yourself, like, which way do I go? Right. And knowing that oftentimes the medicines that we agree to take, they're killing so much more in our system. Yeah. So it's like that, that decision you have to make. Yeah. Am I going to allow it to do all this other stuff to me to kill the cancer? That's a hard decision.
How long did you struggle with that?
I was ready to quit after the first chemo.
Really?
Literally.
How was chemo? What?
So chemo, going in, it's okay. So for me, and everyone's process is different because, again, I didn't know that there was different kinds of breast cancer.
Right.
There's different kinds of treatments that you'll be giving. So the chemo or the cocktail that everyone gets is not always the same.
Okay.
So for me, when I would get mine, the day of, I was fine. Like I would go and get chemo. I was in there probably for like 4 to 5 hours. Usually I fall asleep while I'm in there.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time. But I would literally come home if Angelique had a game. I'd go to her game, or if we were going out. I kept going out.
Still being Superwoman.
I tried, but that was day one. So I found out that for my particular cocktail, it didn't really get into my system probably until the second or third day, because by day 3, when I say
sick,
down and out, I mean, it's a down and out that is, it's so hard to explain because it takes over your body. And for me, somebody who always wants to be in control and up and going, it really sat me down. Like, it scared me. I was like, is this how this is supposed to feel? Like, I almost felt like the medicine would kill me before the cancer, because it makes you feel like you just can't do anything. Like, I literally could not get up and roll out the bed. It was that bad. I mean, I struggled. I would get up and sit on the side of the bed, and then I would feel nauseated, then I would throw up, then I'd feel dizzy, lay back down, trying to get, I remember crawling to the bathroom, like I couldn't move. And so this was after the first one. And I told Alan, I said, I'm not doing this anymore. It's like, this is crazy. I wasn't expecting to feel that bad. I just thought I'd maybe feel like I had a bad cold or flu or something, or like I ate something bad. But it's crazy. It would take me for about 2 days, and then it'd take me another 2 days to get better. So you kind of have like a week where you're feeling good in between your treatments.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Define survivor for you. How does survivor play a different role in your life now? Because you've literally had to do it.
So to me, survival is really not about just still being here. Like, I call my sisters who have passed on for breast cancer, they were still survivors also. So surviving to me is basically still being able to go through whatever you're going through on a daily basis. Like, you're still because with cancer, like I said, a lot of people don't realize the inside part of it, the other things that we're dealing with. They just see the internal, the external. They see that we went through chemo, like how I was just explaining to you how it made me feel. Like, nobody was in my room with me on those days to say, oh my goodness, like, she can't even get up out of bed. Like, is that supposed to happen? So we're surviving through that. We're still trying to do things, and the world is going on. The world doesn't stop. So we're still
Isn't that
surviving.
weird?
Exactly.
It's like, I'm going through this I feel like the world is made up of a bunch of different worlds, and it's like my world has kind of stopped and shifted, and the rest of the world is fine.
Yeah.
Well, not fine, because we don't know other people's experiences, but you know what I mean. Like, it's still going, and people are still living, and they're still getting up and taking care of their kids and walking their dogs and all the stuff, and you're just like, but I'm here.
Yes, yeah, and I said that a lot, and I would say, for my spiritual beliefs, like, God was all through this. Like, I don't know the reasons why I'm still here, and some of my sisters who had the same diagnosis are not. I just say it's all God, and it's for His reason. I can remember so many instances, and one of those is I would try to get up and walk. So they recommend that you try to stay active and exercise, at least at a minimum walking, especially when you're going through chemo. So I remember getting up and walking one day in my neighborhood, and at that time I had lost my hair, so I was bald, and I was walking, and I had on my headphones, and I must have been smiling. I don't remember. And this lady, she was walking towards me, so when she passed me, but she tapped me on my back after she passed me. So I turned around like, hey, what's up? Because I didn't know her.
Yeah.
And she said, I just have to ask you. She said, do you have cancer, or did you have cancer? And I said, yes. I said, I'm going through treatment now. And she said, and you're smiling so pretty. She said, I was out here walking because I'm going through some stuff with my son, and I was just thinking how life is so horrible and how am I going to deal with this? And, she said she was just having some personal battles.
Right.
And she said she walked past me, and she said she saw this lady who was fighting for her life and smiled at her. And And it made it very clear to her that she was going to get through what she was going through. And I was just amazed. And I said, nothing but God. I don't even remember what I was smiling about. It was probably, I don't know, I was probably listening to Chuck Brown or something as I was walking. My music was good. But it was little things like that that would happen that would remind me that this is why I'm surviving. Like, this is God's plan for me, that I need to show somebody else. And it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody who's going through cancer, just showing people that we can still make it through no matter what your battle is, that we'll come out on the other side. And sometimes we have to go through things to make us stronger or to be an example for somebody else. Like, we just don't know what the process is or what the plan is. So you just have to survive through it. You got to keep going through it.
Has this experience for you made you and your family closer? Do you feel like you cherish your time more?
I do. I mean, I've always been passionate about my family.
Absolutely.
I mean, my extended family, everybody. I just love my family, my immediate family, and my extended family. But this gives a different meaning, and a lot of it to me is gratefulness, because I was always kind of in charge of everything. Although I'm married and I have a husband, I'm running the household. I'm making sure everybody's where they need to be. During our finances, during our meals, all those kind of things. And I was almost overwhelmed with the love that came my way and the way people gave back and the way people just came and did and for me and just showed up. It was just like, wow, like I didn't realize that many people loved me. It was a good feeling to know that people cared, and that's where that thought came in. Like, I don't want to leave these people. Like, I want to be here. I don't want anybody to be sad. Like, I don't want to be looking down on my funeral and seeing people sad and crying about, that I'm not here anymore because of this. I don't want that. Like, I got to get through this, you know? So it's just the gratefulness. Like, I can't even begin to explain how people just did. Yeah. Like, it was amazing to me. Absolutely amazing. And a lot of ladies don't have that, which is another reason why I try to stay active in the community, to kind of fill those voids for some of the ladies that don't, because I was, when I say blessed, extremely blessed. I mean, from time to financial to just the love. It was a lot. Yeah. It was a lot.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap up, but the last question I have for you is, how has self-care played a role in your healing process? Because I feel like while you are in remission, and we pray that you stay in remission, how do you continue to take care of your mind and body as you're journeying through day by day?
Right. So for me, I think it's a lot of my spiritual. I stay prayed up and I believe in faith. I mean, God has already shown me to not worry about things so much and to really give it to him. And as I say, let go, let God. Yeah. And so in a lot of instances, I do that more often. When I feel myself getting worked up about a situation, it's just like, okay, you already know. Yeah. He's already showed you time and time again that you'll come through this. And so I do that. That's for the mind. For the body, I've still tried to stay active, working out. Yoga is important to me now. Yay. So I love yoga. I love my quiet, meditative state. Essential oils. I love essential oils. They tease me at work because every morning I have a ritual. I come into work, I wash my hands, I put lotion on my hands, and I take my essential oil I think it's eucalyptus, and I put a little bit on my hand and on my nose, and I do it. And they'll say, Kelly's at work, we smell the oil. Like, yes, I'm here, and it should be helping the whole office to calm down and let's get busy. So I found myself doing different things that I didn't used to do. Like I said, the eating, the water. I'm really into my alkaline water, which is very expensive. This stuff is so expensive. Yeah. But just, thinking about myself, I found myself probably like in the last 2 weeks, trying to be more conscious about what I put in my mouth. Yeah. Like thinking about everything that I go to pick up to put in my mouth. Yeah. And especially things around sugar, alcohol, because I love my wine. I love my wine.
I know you
do.
It
is grapes, but
fermented grapes.
But just trying to be conscious of it. Not saying that I've perfected it, but just really trying
just being more
to be
mindful.
Yes, exactly. Because for a long time, your life is for me has been about everybody else,
Yeah.
doing for everybody else and doing things and really not paying attention, eating on the go, stopping at 7-Eleven,
Yeah.
getting a Slim Jim and a soda. I mean, my Pepsis. I miss my Pepsis. I haven't had a Pepsi like in 3 weeks.
Well, there's just to plug this, and this is not a sponsored thing, but Dr. Virgil's is great, but it's a healthy soda. So, and Ryan loves like cherry cola and root beer, and they have a clean version of that. It's more expensive, but it's really good.
You're
No
gonna have
artificial
me stopping at a store when I
anything.
leave here.
Oh, and just the fizzies, it's just so good. So
'Cause I
that
was
might help
addicted
you.
to the Pepsi cherry vanilla.
Oh my goodness.
I miss it so bad.
Well, I'm so happy you're here and that you
Thank
are
you.
a testimony and that you are
Thank
creating
you.
community with your story and your
Thank
voice.
you. Thank
So
you.
please let people know where they can find you, where they can connect with you, and any breast cancer resources that you may have, organizations, feel free to list them off.
Okay, so the nonprofit organization that I work with, that I'm on the board of directors, is called 4-3 Sisters, FOR, the number 3 Sisters. In the area, it's probably known best by the Pink Fireman, who actually had 3 sisters who passed from breast cancer. And so him and his wife created a nonprofit organization to basically help facilitate for other ladies that were diagnosed that whole process. How I was kind of saying, where somebody may not have all the resources that I had, so we kind of fill in those blanks for them and help them navigate through that so that they don't have to worry about that. We're based out of Albany, Maryland, and our website is 43sisters.org. So you can look them up there. For me, I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook, Kellee Southern.
Ended up giving your government
Yes,
name anyway.
I did. So you can find me there, and I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. But I just have one thing I want to say outside of the
Okay.
breast cancer story. So
Okay.
of course I'm here as a breast cancer survivor, but also your auntie, and I just want to say how proud I am of you.
Thank you.
And how much I love you. And I've watched your journey, like I said, from day 2 when I came into our families, came
merged.
together, merged.
My stepdad is married to my mom because of my Aunt Kellee. So
Yes,
it's like a
yes.
super close relation.
yes, we are all super close. And I've watched your journey, and I'm just so proud of you.
Thank
I'm
you.
extremely proud
Thank
of you.
you, and I love you so
I
much.
love you too, baby.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Hey Girl is a member of the District Productive Network. Produced by Jamie Benson and me, Alex Elle. Music provided by DC's own Kokai.